What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be building wide body fenders for the Z3. Alright guys, so last time you saw that I built my front splitter, and before that I built my side splitters, and I wanted to do that first so I could see how the fenders would meet up with them. So now you can see I brought the fender mock-up down to the splitter, and I'm actually going to attach it in the front and on the side here. And I have been refining my paper mock-ups here. I think these are actually the third versions, as you can see. I've went through a lot of different iterations to try to get these perfectly sitting the way I want. But now I am to the spot where I like how it looks. So now I can start to put these paper mock-ups to metal and actually start cutting out some metal to build the fenders. And I do have the material here. So this is 22 gauge steel. I have a 4-foot by 2-foot section here. And then I have some 3-foot by 2-foot sections here. So that should work well for the front. The front needs to be split into two because I am attaching to the hood, because the hood goes the whole way down to the wheels on this car. So there's really no front fender. It's all part of the hood. So I'm gonna have to split it right about here in the front. So that'll be interesting. One part will be attached to the front bumper and the rest to the hood. And then the rear can be all one piece. Unfortunately, I could not get metal easily that was long enough. I would need about a 5-foot section to span the whole fender, so I will have a weld seam that I'll have to just weld up and then grind flat on the metal. So now that I've got my final mock-ups, I can take these off and then start laying it out on metal. And to cut the metal, I'm going to be going with these double cut shears. I'm using this because it should be a lot easier than trying to use an angle grinder. It should be easier to do a straight cut. And I got the double cut so that it leaves basically a smooth edge on both sides. It doesn't ripple or curl it. This will be my first time using these, so we'll see how that goes. So I'll cut out basically the top and the side section for the front and rear, and then I will be welding the full corner along this seam here. Quick update, I have all of the top sections cut out. So these two are for the rear, these are the fronts, and then this is the front portion that sits on the front bumper. The only thing is I did not have enough length to do the full rear. So you can see here, this is what I need. So I'm this much short. So what I'm gonna do is weld on these pieces, just a straight weld there and there, grind it flat. And then once I have these pieces welded on, I can remark and then cut them so that I will then have the full piece that I need for the rears. I've now got all of the top sections cut out for all the flares, so this is left and right. So these are the front, this is the front bumper section, and then these are the rears that I had to weld the extension piece on. And next up, I started making all of the mounting brackets. So these are pretty simple L brackets that I made out of thicker 16 gauge material. And I used the thicker material so I didn't have to worry about it twisting or bending over time. And as you might be able to see, they're all actually at slightly different angles. So this is at a 90 degree, and then some of them are more at an acute angle because at all these points where it mounts to the car has different shape. To get it to fit correctly, I went to each point on the car and bent it until it sat flush on the car and the fender. I made about 25 of those total. I made all the lefts and then I made all the rights to match the left because it should all be the same. And then I have my paper mock-ups marked in the exact location where these all go, so I will transfer that onto the actual metal so I know where I can put them. And I am not going to be welding these because I did do some experimentation, and if I weld onto this, it actually comes through on the top side where you would see. And then I would have to do a lot of sanding and possibly filling to make it look right before I paint. So to avoid all that, I'm going to be using some JB Weld. This should be plenty strong for what I need here, and then I don't have to worry about any of that melt through with the welding process. Now the plan is going to be gluing all of these brackets on the top sections and then actually mount them on the car, and then I can get to work on the side pieces. Alright guys, so I've now got the fenders fully tacked together. So I started with attempting to use the TIG, but trying to hold everything by myself was just too difficult to try to have the filler rod, the foot pedal, and the torch. So I went ahead and used my MIG, and that worked out pretty well. It's easy to do quick tacks with the MIG, so that's what I went with. And so I just did some evenly spaced tacks more or less so that I get the shape fully captured so that when I do take them off, there's no movement. And this was the first one I did, and then I went onto the rear, so I eventually got a pretty good process going for how I wanted to do the tacks. I'm liking how the fitment came out with the wheels and tires. I am riding the fine line of form and function here. So I do want to make sure it functions well. I don't have rubbing issues. But of course, part of the reason I'm doing this Widebody is for looks as well. And since I'm not on air like the Mustang, I really just have to fine tune that ride height and the gaps with the tires so that I can make sure it's really functional and I can go fast around turns and I don't have to worry about rubbing. And with this current stance, I think that's what I'll achieve. And so I did go ahead and get the other side finished as well. So it went very smoothly after doing the left side. The right side was pretty easy. Everything fit more or less the way I expected. So again, I've got it basically stitched every ½ inch or so with a tack with the MIG in the front and the rear. But yeah, I am really liking the look. I think it came out perfect, just the way I imagined. See if I can show you how the front looks here. So straight on, that's how it looks with the wider fenders. Of course, without the blue tape and with the fenders painted white, it should look a lot cleaner. So next up, the plan will be taking off the fenders, doing tacks all along the inside portion, because most of these tacks will get ground off. You can see that the outer piece is actually high, and I did that on purpose so I could tack it easily. And then I'm gonna grind all that smooth. So most of those tacks will go away with grinding, so I'm gonna fully tack the inside as well. And then I think I'm gonna use some type of adhesive, maybe JB Weld, on the inside to really give it some more structure. And then after I do the grinding on the outside, of course, I'm gonna have to do some Bondo filler to get everything nice and smooth before I paint. But that will be next time, so that's gonna be it for today. Let me know what you guys think of the fenders. I'm getting really excited to get these things finished up.